Welcome to our first episode of NYLTA.com, where we break down all things involving the New York LLC Transparency Act. My name is Tiffany Clone. I am the COO of NYLTA.com.
And my name is Ryan Freitas, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of NYLTA.com.
So as our first episode, we want to talk about who needs to file.
Yeah.
And a little bit also about NYLTA as it exists for the law.
Yeah. You know, when we started this, we were in a different place. We were doing it on the federal level.
Yep.
And we learned a lot of different things, and we saw that this was going to be coming down to states.
Yeah.
And these states were going to be engulfed in somewhat of a challenge. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say, because people look at compliance and they say, oh no. They get
the big deal.
Yeah, they get the heebie-jeebies and they don't want to do it. And larger companies have their compliance departments, but when you look at what we built this for was for the small business owners.
Yeah.
Right? That's what this NYLTA stands for, right? It's for small business owners and medium-sized business owners. The last thing that they have is a compliance department.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep the lights on. They're
Absolutely.
trying to, whether they're a plumber, a photographer, they're a dog walker. We're talking about smaller business owners that have LLCs, and they need guidance, mm-hmm. right? Not only do they hire a CPA, they hire somebody to do this in their business, mm-hmm. IT, whether they get, so they have all these different things, but do they have somebody doing compliance for them? Who does their LLC paperwork? Who does this? Who does that? So the last thing that pops up is a new law, and now they're scrambling. Number one, they're like, why? Oh, they go through that shell shock. Okay, Here we go with a new law. Then it's okay. It settles in, and it's now, okay, what do I need to do?
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and I think we, when we started with this, we come from a financial services background.
Yeah.
We happened to get into compliance on the federal level, realized how important it is. I know sometimes when it comes to laws and, like you were saying, compliance can be scary.
Yeah.
It's needed.
Yeah.
And when it came out on the federal level, the Corporate Transparency Act, we realized that this was just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
Right. And so it was you who, because part of this is we're just always doing research. Everything, mm-hmm. all day, every day is just nothing but research to get ahead of what's, going to happen. And so, like I said, when we saw it was happening federally, and New York at this point had already had the law written and passed.
Yeah, in 2023.
Yeah.
That's right,
yeah.
Yeah. So Tiffany is also my fiance.
I forgot that part.
So we like to say that we are a power couple. We've been working with each other since the financial services industry, since prior to that. But this last year we've been engulfed in NYLTA. We've been building this at home. Everywhere we go, frequent, all the places that we do, we're always talking about this idea of, more compliance and building and structuring. So it's been a part of our lives drastically every single day. So, we say, hey, we got to make time for ourselves. So, but when we were in the building stage, it was fun. Because I learned a lot about you. You learned a lot about me. A lot of challenges with the business, a lot of challenges with outside resources. But we had one thing in common, was building this for New Yorkers.
Absolutely. Right? We had no matter what, everything we've done as a couple in business, it's always been the common goal of helping people.
Right.
Before that, I had a hospitality background, and it's always been about helping people. That's just part of me. That's just in me.
Right.
And I think that's what has helped us, continue forward. Obviously it's not easy working with, your significant other.
Oh, no, it's not. But it's worth it. It's worth it.
No, it's worth it. But
Yeah.
it was because we had that common goal.
Yeah. And I think, the challenges as, being being a CEO and chief operations officer, you learn what works, what doesn't work. Because again, we're entrepreneurs, right? And we say this to other entrepreneurs. We're nothing special. We've come out with a company.
We are special.
Sure. But we're just like every other New Yorker out there to do what they need to do, right? Whether, whatever industry they're in. So they needed a guiding light. And what NYLTA stands for is the New York Limited Liability Transparency Act, which it hits home for every single LLC in New York. Now, currently, the laws have shifted prior to January 1st, 2026, when the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, she vetoed the S-8432 bill. I don't want to get too technical, but this bill was going to separate the law from the federal law. And she did not want to bring down more I guess what's the word I'm looking for? She didn't
burden.
Yeah, she didn't want to bring down more burden. Right. That's another thing we do. We finish each other's sentence. The challenge was when you're building a company, you're building it in a certain way. So we had to restructure our business to make sure that New Yorkers are getting the full transparency of what we need to deliver. So we had so many changes. And to do that, how many resources we had to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we knew that we had to deliver the right message because there's so much ambiguity, right? I always mess that word up, by the way, guys. Ambiguity. There's so much ambiguity, meaning it's not clear. There's no clear road. There's not clarity. So we had to change so many times, but we kept one thing in front, which was no, we have to make sure that we're completely aligned with the law.
Yeah.
That way we deliver this message for New Yorkers, and there's nothing so we can, because compliance can get up to here. What do we want to do? We want to bring it down here for people to understand extremely easy. Would you agree? That's been our whole motto the whole time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when it comes as far as the LLC Transparency Act for the state of New York, it mirrored the Corporate Transparency Act,
Right.
Which was on a federal level. And as you mentioned, Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, she had, signed the bill, signed everything into law back in 2023. But in March of 2025
Right.
is when they separated the Corporate Transparency Act and made it so that no longer domestic companies needed to file.
Right. So anybody that is a United States business that was formed here in the United States no longer has to file both the federal BOIR and also the New York Transparency Act for now.
Correct.
And
as guideline states.
As guideline states. Now, we all know the federal government likes to change things whenever they want, right? So there's a lot of challenges behind the scenes that most people don't know. Lobbyists, states coming in. There's a lot of chatter behind the scenes. As NYLTA.com, we try to continue finding all loopholes, challenges, anything that comes about. And I won't say try to, we do stay aligned with delivering that information. Because guess what? New York LLCs, maybe 1.8 to, there's about 2.3 million small businesses. And I think every business owner, well, a LLC or not, because I think eventually, and this is just my opinion, this will roll out to all corporations like the federal did.
Sure.
So
I mean, things, like you said, are ever changing.
Absolutely.
It was last year that the Corporate Transparency Act on the federal level changed things.
Yeah.
And then now for the state of New York, when Emily Gallagher, she, had this bill go through the Assembly, the Senate,
Yeah.
and it was vetoed by the governor.
Yeah.
no one had predicted this was going to happen. They didn't think it was going to happen. And now we're looking at a new law with, different parameters and a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
A lot of
big
confusion.
Confusion. Because there was a push where, we're educating a lot of the masses back in October, November, December. We're educating them on, okay, everyone needs to file this, that, and the other. And then we start seeing, once the veto came in, I think it was on December 19th, right? It was on December 19th when she vetoed it. So we had to go back and change our language, and we had to go back and film. So because it is our job, and we made it our mission to commit to New York to always give precise, accurate information. And if you look online, everybody's still kind of, do we need to file this, or does this? And
there's still a lot of confusion, which is exactly why not only starting this podcast, but as it being our first episode, talking about who needs to file and why it was so important. And as it states, like you mentioned, it's only domestic LLCs that currently need to file.
Right. Yeah.
That currently don't need to file.
Right.
But it's foreign LLCs. But
and wait, hold on. Let me stop you there. So, and here's a challenge too. Most people don't realize that foreign, right? They think of, there's two dynamics to foreign, two definitions. Foreign is if you're outside of New York and your LLC is based in, let's say, Florida. That's considered foreign. But then also there's foreign outside of the United States. So when we say foreign, we mean if your company was formed outside of the United States. So
Correct.
Any company in the United States that's doing business, that was formed in the United States, that's doing business in New York, you are not required to file. You're not considered, quote unquote, a foreign entity, even though you kind of are. But you do not need to file if you're in the United States, if your business was formed in the United States. That's accurate.
Yeah.
So I think, just even giving simple education like that is very important to
Absolutely.
Because again, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. And we'll see what, happens as far as with those two definitions of what a foreign LLC is considered.
Yeah.
What a domestic LLC is considered, and what's going to change as far as implementation.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that's it for us on the first episode. This is Ryan DeFreitas. This is my super beautiful co-star and my fiance, Chief Operations Officer Tiffany Colon. Thank you for joining us for the first episode of NYLTA.com, where we make compliance and it's made simple.